I'm going to share with you some amazing animal stories, and I promise you, they will amaze you. For over 2 decades, I've been an animal communicator, and I've talked with thousands of animals. I've personally seen and experienced some incredible things with them. With their humans' permission, I will be sharing my animal clients' inspiring stories of how we healed them back to health, cured them of unwanted behaviors, and helped make their lives with their people even better. These are amazing animal stories.
And welcome everybody to another episode of Amazing Animal Stories with Coryelle Kramer. Coryelle, how are you today? It's beautiful. Well, it's not really, but it's wintertime anyway. So how are you?
It's beautiful here in New Mexico.
So beautiful. We've got a great story for everybody today, and it involves not a dog, not a cat, but a horse.
That's right. So today's story is about one of my, actually, he was my second horse client that I took on after I started doing the animal dynamics. So we're going to go through a little bit more. If you listen to last week's episode, that was the first one. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail in this one about the healing intensive, what I found. It all adds up to some really, really super interesting stuff that I wasn't able to share in last week's episode because I had already worked with Peanut and Jafrina for a long time with their healing. So I'd already done the healing intensive on them. So we're going to go, like I said, we're going to go into a little bit more detail. So let's get started. So today's episode is about Sir Eastwood, aka Woody, aka what his person calls Woodle. Now Woody is a dressage horse, okay? And this is what she wrote to me. His person wrote to me in the original contact form. So I ask a series of questions in all my contact forms. The reason that I do this is it really helps me get an idea of what's going on. So all the questions are super important. If you contact me through my contact form, please answer all the questions because they all are super important. So, what made you reach out and explore working with me? And she wrote, I can't figure out why he's so fearful and reactive on the ground and under the saddle. I want to know what I can do to help him relax and trust. The next question that I ask is, what is the most you want to change about your animal's life? In your relationship with them, what do you hope to see the most possibility and change for them? And she wrote, I would like to see change in his anxiety and his fear. And then she wrote, my question was, where do you feel you and your animal are the most stuck? Where do you think the obstacles are for them and you that you'd like to release? And she said, I feel like I make progress with each coach I try. She's tried several coaches before this, and the coaches are trainers, okay? But I always end up back to the phase where he is so tense and fearful, both on the ground and under the saddle. So what's been happening, this tells me what's been happening is that they've been working with several trainers or a few trainers. And what happens is that Woody would expand, get to a certain point, hit a wall, and then bounce back to where he was. So that's why all the questions on my contact form are super important. They really help me to understand. So a little bit about Woody's background. Woody is an 11-year-old dressage horse. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what dressage is, because some people have, predisposition towards dressage, they're not quite sure what it is. So dressage is all about precision, which means Woody has to be on point. There's no stumbling, there's no wobbling, there's no hesitation. This is because if they don't get on point, they get points deducted from them. So, and especially if they're trying to achieve the goals that they both want to have, which is to event, they have to be on point. The slightest mistake makes less points coming in, and you get points deducted. Okay. So, what is dressage? Dressage basically is a sport involving the execution of precision movements by both the trained horse in response to barely perceptive signals from their rider. So it's not like barrel racing where you're pulling your horse one way or another to get them around barrels and stuff like that. Dressage is basically, I mean, if you've ever seen videos of the rider basically looks like they're just sitting there. Not just sitting there, but they're doing stuff, but their movements are so slight, you don't even notice them. So even the slightest movement, if she moves her knee a quarter of an inch, he's got to understand what that means and does the technique that means, So it's like it's the difference between it's like the difference between hula dancing and modern dancing. They're both beautiful dancing, okay? But modern dance it's like athleticism. It really takes a lot of upper body strength, lower body strength, leg strength, the whole 9 yards. So you have to it's a very, very demanding sport, you know?
And by the way, if you're listening right now and you would like to comment, you can do that by commenting in the chat in the comment section. And if it's a question, then that you have for Coryelle, then we can ask her the question. Just thought I'd throw that in.
No, I thought that's awesome. Thank you very much. And if anybody wants to go to my website, it's really simple. So it's my first name, my last name, and then .com. So CoryelleKramer.com. So some more background. I asked this question. I found out he's always been like this. So nothing, what that tells me is nothing dramatic drama happened. Okay. And she's had him since he was about 4 years old. So it could have been that he had drama, but really wasn't getting any kind of like abuse like that. It just seems like he was always been like that. I asked if she knew if he had any health issues that could be causing these issues, these problems. She said none that she was aware of. So that tells me that immediately what I need to do is I need to go into a healing intensive. So what are Woody's issues? Fear and anxiety. He was taking off back to the barn when hacking. And what hacking is basically pleasure riding, trail riding, nice and easy. It's a way for the animals to just have fun with their people, stuff like that there. But what was happening was he would get to a certain point and all of a sudden, again, like hit almost like an energetic wall and go running back to the barn. Not a good thing. Okay. Especially if his person is on his back or if his person is holding his reins and then all of a sudden he takes off, she can get her arm dislocated or shoulder dislocated. So he would run back to the barn in fear while being ridden in practice. Woody would all of a sudden bolt or jump. He would just jump forward. Okay. He was doing a lot of twitching and jerking in his body. Again, making you aware that, normally a horse doesn't do that, unless there's something off, something wrong. Woody seemed to be very skittish and unsure both of his role in dressage and his surroundings in the barn. He would be scared of certain of other people and other horses. He would be sensitive to others' energies. Like all of a sudden, he would be close to like the barn owner would come into the barn, and all of a sudden, Woody would get very, very tense. And he didn't even have to see her, and he would get really, really tense. All right. On the ground, he was weird about his space. Again, he would not allow any other horses to get too close. Eventing, he was better than he was. He was better with working with working with the trainers, but he was still really tense. You could tell he was still really tense. Especially he was tense around new things. So new things like being brought into any new things being brought into his life. So learning new things would make him unsure. New equipment would make him unsure. New blankets would make him unsure. Anything would make him unsure and tense, right? So what I received while I was talking with his person and we were doing what I called the intake or the possibility call. So what I believed was I believed and I sensed that Woody was in energetic shadow and getting wonked out by energies. That is the key to the minus spectrum in the energetic. An energetic normally is sensitive and loving the energies of people, places, things, and personalities. So what happens in the minus spectrum is they're wonked out by the energies of people, places, things, and personalities. So what was happening was that this is why I do an intake. This is why I do a possibility call. This is why I do the contact form, because it starts giving me background of what their dynamics are. And from there, I can start understanding this being better and possible ways of helping them. I also got that there was something about his neck and the behind his withers, which is basically his shoulder blades. So I was getting that he would benefit from equine massage, which she did do, and he did become very receptive to it. It helped to ease up his tension. We discovered that later on. And then I got that he got very low self-esteem, performance anxiety, and doubt about himself and about, I wouldn't say about his person, because he really loved his person, but he got doubt about being able to be the horse that she required him to be. So any questions so far? You good? We're good.
Nope, no questions. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Okay. Just interrupt me if you got a question. So what we can do now.
I will. I'm just, but this is fascinating. I'm just really fascinated by by this whole thing about about the whole process.
Thank you. So can you show the before picture of Woody when you get a second? So, I noticed in Woody, that it's like, I don't know if you notice it, but he's got a tightness in his face. There's not this, like, he's looking to his person kind of like for um for security and for direction. I don't get that he's like fully and completely there. His ears are also forward, so he's a little bit on high alert as opposed to his ears being to the side a little bit. So that tells me also that he's not too secure in his body. So this is Woody. A little tightness in the face, under the eyes. I noticed because I zoomed in really, really close. And
He
then
looks a little scared.
Yeah, he does. He does, doesn't he? I think he does. I mean, that's what I was getting. He's just not fully confident in who he is and being able to take on any situation. I get that I was getting that he was getting really, really uncomfortable with new things. He would get into his routine, but anything that added to that routine or took away from that routine or his life, and it would just freak him out. So great. Okay, so what was done? The first thing that I got is that we had to do a healing intensive. Okay, so what I did was I asked Woody's consent. I always ask consent for the animal before I send energy, before I give energy, because if they don't want it, there's no point in sending it. It's about consent, because animals are assumed upon in our society a lot. They just think, oh, just throw a saddle on him. I'm going to assume that he wants to ride. I'm going to assume that because he's a horse, he's doing this. Because he's a dog, she's doing that. So I always ask consent. So the health, what I do is at this point of time, I was only doing a 3-level healing intensive. So I was doing the physical, I was doing the chakras, and I was doing the auric field. Now I do a 5-level healing intensive. I do the physical, I do the chakras, I do the emotional body, I do the soul body for healing it of any karmic gunk, and then I do the auric field. So it's a 5-level healing intensive. So it's almost doubled.
That's intensive.
Yes, that's true. So when I connected to Woody in his health, this is what I got. I got his nervous system needed to be regulated. It was very, very unregulated. It was all over the place. When your nervous system is messed up, your breathing is messed up, you're not breathing correctly, you're not feeling secure, you're not feeling safe, you're basically a hot mess. So it's important when your nervous system is not regulated to get it as regulated as you possibly can. So I regulated his nervous system. His immune system needed a boost. I sent that light. His endocrine system needed support. Okay, again, the endocrine system, I find a lot of fear in that system, so I cleared that out. That's also the lymphatic system. Blood needed clearing out. I sent that light. Cellular system needed regulation, and I sent his cells light. And then I sent light to his entire body. Then I moved on to the chakras. And what I do is I see the chakra system, that animal chakra system in front of me, and then I can get a sense for, I go through each one and I get a sense for what's the issues. So his root chakra is about safety and security. It's also about being quiet in your mind, and it's about being secure in who you are. His root chakra was totally and completely stuck. So it wasn't even moving. His second, and the chakras can be, I see them as spheres, and I see them as spheres, and the spheres are turning in a clockwise motion when they're healthy. When they're not, they're either turning backwards, they're stuck, something else like that there. But some people see them as wheels. Okay. So, but the chakras are basically energy portals in the body. The second chakra was a little bit too fast. The second chakra is by the belly button. That's about desire, wants. And when you're a little bit out of sorts and you want something too much, it can mess up your second chakra. So your desire and your wants are a little bit too out of whack. So I sent that light. The third chakra is the diaphragm. The third chakra is about personal power. This is usually clogged on a lot of beings, not just animals. Okay. When you feel put upon, when you get those butterflies in your stomach, when you feel like anger and you feel like somebody's trying to take advantage of you, or you feel disgust or something, it's usually lodged in that chakra. So his was totally clogged and stagnant. So I cleared that out. The fourth chakra, the heart chakra, about giving and receiving love, was very slow. So I sent that light. His fifth chakra, which is his throat chakra. This is about self-expression, about speaking your truth, about really and truly being satisfied with who you are. So you're not biting your tongue, you're not trying to keep yourself small, you're speaking who you are, and you're acknowledging who you are to the world, whether it's words or whether it's vibrations. So his fifth chakra was totally closed. Sixth chakra is the third eye. This is about connection. This is about really inner knowing and inner seeing. So his was halfway closed. And the seventh chakra is the crown chakra, and that's your connection to divinity, self-worth, love, unconditional love, just being able to be connected to divine and feel that higher self and that higher part of you. That was 3/4 of the way open. So it was like about this way open, when it should really be a little bit more, a lot more. So what I do is I send the chakras light with the same intention. The intention that I use is it cleanses, clears, cleans, and realigns the chakra, leaving it spinning in perfect motion, perfect timing, perfect tempo, perfect direction, and perfect color. So I sent all of his chakras light. And then what we did was I went into the shadow part of him. And the shadow was, again, I go into the auric field and I see if there's any stuck energy. And when I see the stuck energy, it is usually in a shadowy form. It's not bad energy, it's just stuck energy. So what I noticed was he had shadows on his right side by his hip. Okay. Another was entirely covering the face. Now, for me, the shadows placement means something. Everything means something to me. So his hip is telling me that he's stuck. He's not able to move. His movements are his not both metaphysically, spiritually, emotionally, physically, the whole nine yards. Okay. It also felt to me like that was where he was getting jolted when he was getting twitchy and stuff like that there. And when a shadow is covering his entire face, it can mean a lot of things. In Woody's case, it meant that he was unable to really feel who he truly was, to see his world and his life for what it was. And he was covered in fear. Okay.
He
So, yeah, go ahead.
he also seems, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like he just felt like that he was disappointing his writer because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing, and that was taking him over in all kinds of, because this horse was screwed up, but it was because he wasn't able to, he didn't feel like, at least it seems to me, he didn't feel like he was able to execute the way he knew it needed to be done, and it was upsetting him. Is that,
I
and
think I think you're right on. I think you're spot on with a lot of things. He when you're caught up in your own head, you're feeling things that really aren't there, even though it feels like you're feeling them. What I mean by that is everything's blown up. So if you're feeling good and you're in a positive kind of like mindset, and you do a mistake, you're like, oops, look what I did. Woohoo, not a big deal. But when you're in a minus spectrum, meaning when you're in a negative state and you're already in worry and you're already in fear, then you get disappointment and questioning yourself. So every little, smallest little thing seems like it's like this big thing that's blown out of proportion. And it feels like it's just adding fodder to the fire, which it is. It's adding fodder to the whole situation. So yes, he was disappointed in himself, which was giving him a spiral. And he didn't think he was going to be able to, better himself. And he was questioning himself, and he was questioning his relationship with this person, whether he was the right horse for her. And so it's a vicious spiral. It's this circle of crap, so to speak.
well,
You know?
just as an aside, that happens to a lot of athletes. And this horse, as you will see with the video that we're going to play in a couple of minutes, this skill that this animal has is really hard to do, and it takes a lot of athletic talent. And but even human beings have got the same problem. If they get into their head that they can't do it, that they're going to strike out when they go up to bat, if
Yep.
they're going to slice the
Mhm.
ball when they hit it when they play golf, it's all about what is stuck in your head will
Mhm.
dictate what happens in your body, right?
That's right. It comes down to the simple saying, what you believe, you achieve.
Ah,
If you believe that you can do what you can do, and there's no doubt you can do what you can do. But Woody was not in that place of being able to truly believe. He believed in the opposite. He was questioning and doubting and not trusting, as this person was stating in the contact form that she sent. He wasn't trusting. And because of that, when you're doubting and you're not trusting, just like a person, you're going to start, fear is going to be right close, boy. It's going to be right there, okay, waiting for you. So, fear is, it could be two things: face everything and recover, or it can be fudge everything and run. So anyway, so the shadows. So what was happening was he had one by his hip, he had one covering his entire face. When I do a healing intensive and I do shadow work, I like to talk to the shadows. I do a dyad with it. I don't just throw light at it because that doesn't always help. This energy that I found after all working with this energy for a while, it's coming in with the intention of messages and guidance. And what happens is that through living life, and again, you got to understand, we were doing work with Woody in 2021. Okay. So early on in 2021, so COVID was still really, really strong. Okay. So what happens is that through living life with us, some animals can still maneuver through it, but with COVID and all this other kind of stuff we've been going through really through the last 8 years, it's been harder and harder for their auric field, which is what I consider their filter, their filter to unconditional love, their filter to divine, their filter to the outside world, their filter to us. Their filters are getting more and more clogged. So what happens when they're clogged is that they become the unwanted behaviors, physical ailments start coming up. So what I do is I talk to it. I do a technique that I developed called a dyad. I talk to it back and forth, back and forth. We ask the same question and I channel a question to that. And when I do that, I'm able to channel their messages, their answers back to Woody because they are messages. And the messages could be anything from, like, the answers could be anything from he's strong, he's amazing, we love him, he's a divine being. It could be anything. Okay. I didn't put his answers in here because that was for his person alone. So I'm not going to share that. But it could be anything. But usually, more than anything, it's usually positive. It's uplifting. And as I get these questions and I ask this question and I get these answers, that the energy starts changing. Usually it starts morphing from what it originally was into something else. And then it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. It's like the energy is healing itself. And I'm able to, it goes back to, eventually it goes back to pure divine white energy. And then it either goes back to non-physical on its own. I help it or I ask my guides to bring it if it's lost its way. So then it's like the animal's feeling better, like Willem that I've talked about in previous episodes of conversations with Coryelle. Willem had a dramatic change, and so did Woody. As soon as this energy ended up, and I'm going to give you some of the texts that she wrote me 2 days later. So, as soon as we started letting go of that energy, he had amazing results. So it manifested. I asked it to manifest because I can't talk to just a blob of energy. I'm a human being. I need something visual. That's the way it works for me. So it manifested into this huge black dog. Now, nothing scares me. I've seen him manifest into demons. I've seen him manifest into, giants. I've seen him manifest into angels. I've seen him manifest into black angels. It doesn't matter. Okay, I don't care. So this one manifested into a big black dog. And then I did the dyad with it. It eventually lightened up and went back to non-physical. Okay. In the intake, I found that Woody was 2 dynamics. Excuse me, So I found out that he was 2 dynamics. He was, and remember, the first one that I say is his core dynamic. It's the one that's really driving the bus. It's really the one in charge. Now, it can only, when it's healthy, it can always change back and forth. But for right now, this was what I was getting. So before the healing intensive, I sensed that Woody was in energetic shadow or minus spectrum. And his secondary dynamic was a sensory, also in shadow. So basically, he was in shadow or minus spectrum of both of his dynamics. When they're in minus spectrum, they're not, the dynamics are not healthy. They're in negative behavior patterns, negative mindsets, things like that there. I rechecked his dynamics immediately after I did the healing in that session. And I felt like his energetic had shifted back into the plus, was starting to shift back into the plus. And so was his sensory. So I didn't get that he was in energetic minus spectrum or energetic shadow, nor was he in sensory shadow. The other things that I do is in my sessions is, if it's called for, I'll get and it feels like it's right for that animal, I'll get what I call flower essences. Flower essences are basically flower water that is vibrational healing. Each flower is vibrating at a different level. And just like a tuning fork, what happens is, if you knock a tuning fork and put it next to a glass of still water, eventually, if you put it close enough, that water will start vibrating at the same level as that tuning fork. And what happens is that it's the same thing. So that flower essence goes into the body and starts vibrating. And then the body starts vibrating and the blockages start falling away because they can't hold that vibration, that higher vibration. Does it make sense?
Yes, ma'am. I think I got it.
Okay. So Woody's the first combo that I did with Woody. Now, the first combo is always the important one, because this is the one, it's like flower essences and negative behaviors are kind of like an onion. So the first layer, you can't get to the core until you take care of the other layers. If you try to get to the core first and do those flower essences that you sense for the core, and you ignore the outer, it's not going to work. It's going to bounce off, because we got to go from one skin to another skin, to another layer, to another layer, to another layer, and then we get to the core. So for him, for his outer layers, I got that because he was in severe fear, that we got the following combination. Mimulus is for known fears: fear of the dark, fear of loud noises, fear of strangers, fear of other animals. So Mimulus. Impatience is just for patience. Aspen is for unknown fears. It's for the fears when I get from an animal, why are you scared? I don't know. I'm just scared. So when a person says, I'm scared, but I don't know why, usually they'll need aspen. Rock rose, panic, any kind of panic, major or minor, doesn't matter. Panic is panic. Elm is for when you're overwhelmed by anything, situations, people, energies, whatever. Argramony is for inner distress, meaning argramony is for a person whose house is burning down behind them, and you go up to them and you say, how are you? Are you okay? What do you need? And they're like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Absolutely fine. No problem here. We're okay. It's all great.
Got some marshmallows? We'll roast.
Yeah. Not even that. They're just fine. They're fine. I'm fine. So it's like detached. You're not really feeling what you're feeling, and you need to be able to stop putting that Band-Aid over that cut that needs stitches. You need to start really addressing what's going on. Scleranthus. This is spelled Scleranthus. Scleranthus. Scleranthus is an amazing flower essence. It's for balance, emotional balance, mental balance, physical balance, meaning if your animal has arthritis and is a little wobbly, maybe you can try Scleranthus. It's been known to help with arthritis. That was his first combo. Okay. So celebrations, I like to start after the first session. I like to start all my sessions after that with celebrations, because we have a hell of a time always seeing, and it's easy for us to see the crap. I want us to celebrate the stuff that's going good, because when we celebrate that, the animal feels it and they understand, hey, man, this is really, really cool. This is what we needed to do in order to help to help them. It all makes them, if they feel you are excited about their progress, they're going to get excited about their progress. If you feel like it's like, whatever, he's okay, I mean, he's a little bit better, it's like, no, blow that up, let's blow it up. So this is the first celebration, from the session after the healing intensive. Okay. Number one, they were able to work through their moments and they were able to move on. Before, what would happen, he would get upset, as you remember, and he would spiral. So he would hit a wall and he'd be like, okay, I can't do this. But we're starting to see changes. Like I said, this was only after the healing intensive. They hadn't gotten the flower essences yet. Okay. So already he's feeling better. Okay. And he's working through his moments that he couldn't before. The hacking was doing better. He was very sensitive to what we call magna wave. Magna wave is a apparatus that kind of looks like a giant light ring. It is a giant light ring. You can lay it on the body. It's a giant ring that you lay on the body, and in certain places, and the waves, just like vibrations, make you feel better. You can close that one. Thank you. So the waves make you feel better and they help healing and promoting healing and stuff like that there. But what was happening was he was twitching so much, the magna waves weren't doing any good. They were freaking him out even more. So they did a magna wave and he didn't do a twitch once. At setting 5, they couldn't even get him up to setting 5, where previously he couldn't even take the first setting. They had to do it at 1, but he was going up to 5, no twitch whatsoever. Okay. Even the person who owned the barn, who doesn't really understand anything, but I mean, they understand horses, but they're a horse person, they're not into woo-woo or anything else like that in there. They started to notice a huge change with him, and he was becoming more affectionate to them and the other horses. So the people who were working there, he was becoming more affectionate, and he was becoming more affectionate to the other animals. She felt like his confidence was building. His sense of humor was becoming more playful. He was becoming more playful, so he was easing up. He would do things, like do like little horse, humor things. And they started, because I got that his immune system was a little attacked, so they started him on blueberries and parsley, and he was loving it. So what I did in the second session was I showed his person the different touches for his dynamics. So the light energetic touch, the long distance energetic touch, and the sensory touch. But I also got that there's something called T-touches. T-touches were developed by a woman by the name of Linda Tellington Jones, and specifically they were done at first just on horses. And she discovered, just kind of like my chakra touches, but they're totally different. She discovered that there's a certain pattern you do, and at a certain speed with different pressure can promote different things, can help alleviate different unwanted behaviors. So I took a course in T-touch. So I have the T-touch cards for horses and dogs and cats. So I got that. I sense that he would love like the ear touch and the mouth touch, and something called the Noah's Ark, which is when you rub down the body with the full hand. And he loved them. He absolutely loved them. Okay. So 2 days after the first session, this is, and the other thing that I wanted to say, the other thing that I got was this. Because he's energetic and he is sensitive to the energies of people, places, things, and situations, I got that she should get a sage spray. You don't necessarily have to burn sage, and I didn't really want her to burn it in a burn, especially with hay all around and wood all around. So I said, get a sage spray. It's good. And I sent her a link to a place that I love. And she got it and she sprayed it in because the energies of the people that own the barn and the people that work there, they weren't really conducive. They were a little, I mean, God bless horse people, really. I mean, I love horse people. I really do. But some can have a very limited mentality, kind of, no offense, but blinders on. This is the way a horse is. This is what a horse can do. Horse can't go deviate outside the plan. Yeah, they can. Okay. So I'm proof of that. So I got them a sage spray because I got to spray in his stall. Okay. So we did the sage spray. Okay. And we also did the healing intensive. This is the 15th of April, 2021. Okay. I started his first session 2 days before that. Okay. Text from his person. Okay, you're really legit. Not that I doubted it, but wow, he was amazing today. I put more pressure on and he handled it beautifully. Then he went back to the barn almost completely relaxed, which is really hard for him after being worked. He got worried about this bunch of flower pots when he came close to it, but came down immediately and calmed down immediately. She cried happy tears afterwards, and he was giving me kisses and resting his chin on my head. And then the text after the sage spray. So that was after his healing intensive. Again, no sage spray, no flower essences on board. Already he's feeling better after the intensive. This is after the sage spray. Next, and this is all in caps, you are literally a genius of all things! Exclamation point. The sage spray came yesterday, and even Christine, the owner of the barn, was like, wow, it feels nice down here. I've been working hard on sending good vibes towards Leah while working and protecting my bubble, meaning she put a bubble around herself. I told her to do that for herself. She was in such a bad mood today, but it didn't affect my mood. Her mood was affecting her mood. It gave me some anxiety, but it did not affect my happiness. Okay. So he's already, once you give the animals, this is what I love about the work I do. Once you give the animals the tools, they're ready. They'll step in. Once you start making them feel better, they step into it. They don't double check and make sure and all this other kind of stuff. I'm sure, is it working? I'm not sure. Like people. They're just like, they want to feel better. Even Woody was like, you know something? I want to feel better. I'm going to let go of my crap and let's move on from that. Okay. So the next session we did was words and phrases. So words and phrases are really important for their dynamic. So I channel words and phrases for that each specific dynamic because we're building them up. And words, if somebody calls you a douchebag, it doesn't feel nice. If somebody calls you an asshat, it doesn't feel nice. If somebody calls you a lovely person who's got a big heart and just a wonderful sense of humor and just an intelligent, beautiful human being, that feels nice. So words have power. They have vibration. They have energy. So if you call your dog a shithead, excuse my French, don't be surprised if he starts acting out or he starts feeling that. Okay. And nobody should call their dog a shithead or their animal a shithead. If you do, you're a shithead. Okay. So that's a lot of shitheads in one sentence, but I felt like I needed to do it. So words that I got for him, some words: brave boy, my calming boy of light, my easy breezy boy, wonderful woodle of love, sweet boy, Mr. Confidence. You're telling him that these are attributes you see in him or them, and it helps buoyant them up. It helps buoy them up. They feel like good. They're like, oh, Mr. Confident. She thinks I'm Mr. Confident. Well, hello there, Mr. Confidence. It's really super important. I also showed him and channeled specifically for Woody a grounding, shielding technique that he could do whenever he wanted to feel safe and confident in all his situations. So if he was on a hack and all of a sudden he came across some ookie energy on the ride, he could nullify it in a second. Okay. So you got to understand, we worked together for 8 weeks. So I'm trying to nullify everything down in 8 weeks. So the second flower essence, after he'd been on the flower essences for a couple of weeks, I got the second flower essence that was going to be to the core of what was going on with him. And this was what I called the confidence combo for Woody. And it was Larch. Larch is about self-confidence. Serrato is about trusting in your inner knowing. Okay. Those two together are really powerful in order to help an animal who's having confidence problems. But you cannot, if I tried to give those to him in the first few weeks, it would not have worked because he wasn't ready and he didn't believe he was confident. This was to help him. We had to get rid of the other stuff first, clear that out before we got to the other stuff. So 6 weeks, a month after working together. So this is a month and a half after working together. This is session 6. Celebrations. He's improving every single day. He pushed through when he's getting tense and he showed up. He's calmer. The trainers are noticing that he's improving and they're loving it. They have no idea what's going on. They're like, I don't know what's going on, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it, is what they're telling her. Okay. So what I want to do now is I want to show you a photograph of Woody after we worked together. And then I want to show you a movie that his person made and sent to me of before and after. And you are going to see the dramatic difference of what Woody was before and after. So first, if you can show the photograph of Woody, please.
It's very plain, the differences that are in him.
So she bought him what I call the horse hat. I know that there's a dressage word for it, so dressage people don't kill me. But I like the horse hat. It's got his horse hat. He's feeling it. He loves that color. It's his favorite color. And you can see there's no tightness in his face.
It looks like a different horse.
It does. He does. There's no tightness around the eyes, no tightness in his face. He's looking to the side a little bit, he's looking to the side a little bit as opposed to having to look, where's my person? Where's my person? So he's looking a little bit to the side, giving a little like, hey baby, what's going on? And if you notice you can see it better on his left ear, which is the ear that's away from us. His ears are pointed out. That means they're more relaxed. If his ears were pointed forward, that means that they're hearing something or they're tense. If they're the same way, if their ears start going back, they're tense, or their ears go down, not good. His ears are to the side. So what's Woody today? Today is Woody is, and I'll let you know when to play the movie, dude. So what?
Okay, Dudette.
Thank you, Dudette. Okay. So Woody, what's Woody today? He's hacking with no issues. He's no longer suddenly taking off and his rider feels safe on him now. He's eventing and stepping up his game even more, and even more pressure is being laid on him, and more things are being asked of him, and he's taking it in stride. He's able to integrate new techniques with ease. Most importantly, he's happier. He's more confident. So now you can show the photograph, the movie of Woody before and after.
And just as an aside, watch the first part of this
Yeah.
because it was dangerous what the horse was doing, because an inexperienced rider could get thrown in this with this scenario. But here you go.
Yay, Woodall!
That horse was proud to prance in the after photos, because he was and you could see the confidence level within him was completely different, and he was enjoying himself, and he was proud that he could perform for his rider. It seemed it looked like.
Mhm. He was confident in who he is. And he was able to feel like, I could do this. I could do my job. I could do what I feel like I've been called to do as my life purpose with my person. And there wasn't any, there wasn't the debilitating doubt that he was having before. It wasn't even a part of the situation anymore. He's happier. He's calmer. He's able to, live a better life. He wasn't able to live a better life. It's the difference between surviving and thriving. And now he's thriving, and he's happy, and he's content, and he's doing what he does, and he does it really, really well. And if his person's got other horses that she does that she does dressage with too, he was also getting jealous of them, and that was spinning him out of control, because like, why are you on this horse and you're not on me? Oh my god, she's gonna give me up, she's gonna give me up, because he wasn't so confident in his situation. He wasn't confident and trusting in his person. So now he's like, she can ride her other horses because there are other horses for other things that do better in other horses in just dressage. And what you have to understand, okay, is there are different levels of dressage. There's like preliminary, things like that. There all the way to Grand Prix. The Grand Prix is exactly what it sounds like. It is the highest end of dressage. And that's what she needed him to do. And that's what he's doing now. He's doing Grand Prix. She's doing Grand Prix with herself, with him, and with the other horses. So he went from being whoa to Grand Prix. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yay, Woodle.
And
Platform.
and the cool thing that you did for all of them was that she wasn't going to be able to work with that for much longer. She was at her wit's end. The owner, it seems,
She
to me.
was. She was. And she wasn't going to get rid of Woodle. Let's make sure. This person loves her horse dearly, okay? But she wouldn't have been able to ride him, and
Right.
it would have been really bad for everybody, because he's 11 years old.
You'd have to retire him.
Yes.
From competition anyway.
Right. Absolutely. And he didn't want to do that. He's only 11. It's not like he's like whatever, how old, 35. I don't know if that's I mean, I think that's really old for a horse, but I don't know. So anyway, I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing what animals can do if you give them the tools and you get out of the way. It time and time and time again. This is why I do the amazing animal stories, because animals show that if you just let go of your stuff, if you just step into well-being, what you can accomplish in less than 2 months. But he really started He really started feeling better after that healing intensive. That's why I do it. That's why I do it with all my animals, whether they're having unwanted behaviors or not. It just sets us up for success.
I wanted to ask you, how do you administer the flower water to a horse? You just put it a little.
There's different ways you can put in the water, but because usually they drink out of buckets or troughs, it can be a lot of flower essences. So what I tell people to do is I tell people to take a apple and halve it and put a little hole in it and then put the drops in it and then give it to them. Or you can put it on a horse cookie, or you can put it on a banana if they eat bananas, or whatever. Just, put it inside whatever or on top of whatever you're doing. As long as it doesn't roll off, it should go in.
Awesome. So that helps. So that's it's truly remarkable, because that horse, it was a huge difference. So, and all the work that you're doing, and the work that you're doing is so deep and
You know?
so complete. And if you want to find out more about Coryelle, go to CoryelleKramer.com, and there's an intake form there, and you can work with her. I told her a year and a half ago, I told her that she was going to have a waiting list. And guess what? She has a waiting list of people, that, because she only takes so many clients, because it's intensive, and
Yeah.
there's a lot to be done. A
Yeah.
lot to be done.
And now you can understand. Now you can get people can get a small idea of what what sessions are all about and why it takes weeks. I can't do all this. If I had tried to push Woody in one session to get rid of his stuff, I might have been able to let him go of some of the stuff, maybe in an hour session, but truly no. Truly no. A lot of his stuff would not have been able to be healed. And he would have been frustrating his trainer and his person, and now he's better. He's awesome. He's awesome Woodle.
And you had a great big hand in that, so you should be proud of yourself.
I am. I am. I'm proud of Woody. I'm proud of his person, because his person really, I mean, she was on point, boy. She was texting me 2, 3, 4 times a day with stuff that was going on, positive aspects she saw. She was texting me videos like the video that you saw. She was on point. She is the one of the most perfect clients I've ever had, because I need that. I need to know what's working. If I get radio silence between sessions, it's not going to help me. I don't know what's working and what's not working, so I can adjust.
Exactly.
So,
Well, but thank you so much for sharing that story today. I got an idea. When if we are complete for today, let's play the video as we go out.
I'd love that. Thanks, everyone.
And this is Woody before and after, and you'll see, obviously, a stark, complete change. So thank you, everybody, and take care of each other, because each other's all we got. Here's Woody.